Today we're doing another day of videoing with Grandma.
Okay, today we're going to show how to make a cream pie, and to make the shell to put it in. First we rolled out the pie crust and have it all in our pie pan ready for the oven, except we have to have a few preliminary things to do here. First thing you do is roll it out and put it in your pie pan and fit it down, and then you take a fork and you have to prick holes in it. This is so it'll bake even and won't puff up. And then you take and press around the fork around the edge. You can do it this way, or you can pinch it up and make it a little roughly around the edge. Either way, whichever you want to do. And this is for different kinds of cream pies. You can make chocolate, vanilla, or peanut butter pie. There's all different kinds you can make. And you prick it all around like this. Then you put it in the oven. Let's see, about 400-degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes. But you have to watch it very closely because there's just the thin shell and it'll bake quick and it'll brown real quickly if you don't watch it. So then we'll put it in the oven, and then we'll show how to make the filling and the meringue topping over it later. Okay, now we're going on with our one crust filled pie. And this is the crust that we fixed a while ago and put in the oven at 425 for 10 minutes. And see, it's slightly browned and baked, ready for the filling. So we'll set it aside and then start making the filling. First we put in, some of this we've already measured. So this is 2/3 of a cup of white sugar. Dump that in. And then we have 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I've already measured this, but this is the way. We have 2½ tablespoons of cornstarch. And when you're taking it out of the box, you don't want it piled up like that. You want to see it like this and smooth it off. Otherwise, you'll get about twice as much as what you're supposed to have. So we'll dump that one in, and then this is the other 1.5 tablespoons. Dump that in. And if it sticks in there, we'll just have to take a spoon and clean it out, because we need all the for our thickening. And flour and cornstarch makes us nicer filling, or at least I think it does. And then we use 1 tablespoon of flour, which I've already got measured. Dump that in. Stir those all together before you put the milk in. Now this cream filling can be used for coconut, bananas, pineapple. There's all kinds of different things you can use with this and make a good pie. Now after we've got that all mixed together, we put the milk in. We'll put 3 cups of milk, and then we'll cook it. So we'll take it to the stove. And today we're cooking it in a double boiler. And a double boiler has 2 parts. The bottom part you fill with water, and that'll keep boiling. Then you put this on the top, and doesn't burn as quick. Makes it very smooth, and if you can cook it right on the stove, but you have to cook it very slow and be stirring it all the time because it will stick awfully easy.
Okay.
Now I have the sugar and the flour and the cornstarch and salt all mixed up here together in this pan. So then I will pour in 3 cups of milk, and we've already got that measured. So pour that in. And I'll pour part of it in, and then I'll stir it. Mix that all together. Be sure and catch the corners. Kind of sticks to the bottom, so you have to kind of be sure you get it. I'll pour the rest in. Now you put that over the double boiler and get it in there. Have to have some pot holders here, I guess. There you go. And you have to stir this and keep it from sticking. It won't stick as much with the water under it as it does if you have it right on the stove. This will take a little while, so you can have to wait till it gets warm and gets thickened. And then we'll put the eggs in and finish up with the other ingredients. Okay, now we've been cooking the milk and the flour and cornstarch and salt together. And we've cooked this for about 10 minutes, and it's starting to get a little bit thick. So then we'll take and we put 3 egg yolks in this bowl. So we'll take a fork and beat them up. Then we'll dip out some of this hot pudding and pour it into the eggs. And stir that all up. If we didn't do it this way, if you just put the eggs in there, it would just kind of curdle, and you don't want to make a mess. It wouldn't really hurt anything, but it wouldn't look very good. Probably wouldn't taste as good either. Then you take and pour that back into the hot pudding. Take that all out of your bowl. And stir that back in, and then you let that cook till it gets thick. That'll take several minutes. This was when Laverne and I were first married, and we lived at Grandma's, and this was one of the desserts that she made a lot. She made this pudding. Sometimes she'd make it vanilla, and sometimes she'd make it chocolate. Then she'd beat, instead of making it into a pie, and for the egg whites to make into a meringue for the pie, she'd beat them up with sugar like a meringue, and then she'd fold it into this cooled pudding, and she called it puff pudding. And if you wanted to make chocolate, you put about 3 tablespoons of cocoa in with the cornstarch and flour and sugar there at the first. And that was really good. Now it's starting to get thicker, you can see. And we'll let that cook for a few minutes. It's supposed to kind of come to a boil, and I think it's starting to now. So this takes a little while, but it's really good when it's done, so it's worth the extra time. Okay, now our pudding is thickened. You can see about how thick it is, but it'll thicken up more as it cools. Then we put in a tablespoon of butter, which we have already measured out here on this wax paper, and that's melt in there. And then we want a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. And this is white vanilla, and it's better than the brown. Not that it tastes any different, but the brown will make your pudding just a little bit colored. So that's 1 teaspoon. And a half. So then you stir that up till the butter gets melted. Now you can put, if you're going to make a coconut pie, you can put your coconut in now. And you just sprinkle it. This is a cup of coconut, shredded coconut. A bit more in the bottom. And you stir that in. This is kind of Denny's favorite, I think. So I think he's going to be happy tonight if we get this all put together. So now we'll let this cool a little bit before we pour it into the shell. Now we've finished the pudding and poured it into the pie shell. It's been cooled a little bit and poured into the pie shell. But if we were making banana, you would slice 2 bananas into the bottom of the pie pan and then pour the pudding over it. But with the coconut, you just stirred it in. So that's the way it looks until we put the meringue topping on it. And then another way you can use this pudding, this filling, is to put it in a little sherbet glass and put a little Cool Whip on it. And then if you wanted to have a little extra, you can put your cookie right in the side, or 2 cookies, whichever you want, and that makes a good little dessert. And you could also sprinkle nuts over it, or just coconut over that, or whatever. It's just a real easy pudding, and it's good for you because there's no preservatives in it, and everything is things that are good for you to eat. Now we're going to make the meringue. This meringue is called Never Fail meringue, so we're going to try and see how good we can do with this. First you take 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of cold water, and you pour the water into the saucepan, and then you put your 1 tablespoon of cornstarch into that, and dissolve that in with the cold water will dissolve the cornstarch. Yes, that's right. You have to mix it up good so there aren't any lumps in it.
We might do that again, Mom.
Then you stir, you add half a cup of boiling water to that. Then you put it on the stove. All right. And you cook that till it's clear. Just take it just a little bit.
We'll have recipes for both of the meringues in the cookbook. We just thought this one would be a good one that's supposed to make really high peaks on your meringue.
And we may not get it right.
So we decided if it didn't work right, we would just delete this from the video.
We'll take it. Maybe I should put it a little bit higher.